Hello, welcome to the first mobility and mindset session. We are going to do an overall whole body flow today. We're going to sit into some positions for longer and talk about how to progress or regress movements for your range of motion that you have. It's going to be a little bit yoga style on some bits. It's going to be a little bit more conventional kind of static stretching on other bits. And we're going to kind of flow for about 30 minutes and it will go by quite quickly. I shall be talking for some of it or most of it, but hopefully not too much. When we've done about 30 minutes of whole body flow, we are going to do some lying or seated, if you prefer, closed eye visualization and mindfulness stuff at the end too. So if that's something you've not done before or experienced, embrace it and have fun. You can obviously turn off your camera, or you don't have to have me watching you. So you can do it from the comfort of your own space. So doing this session in a space where you feel safe and calm is super important. If you've got kids around and you can't get someone else to look after them, maybe invite them to do some of it with you, or if you're in a cold garage gym, maybe head to a warmer space inside, living room or bedroom, somewhere like that. Okay, so you only need your body and potentially a mat or something that is just going to help you with that comfort and flow. If you're someone who lacks a lot of mobility, flexibility as well, if you know that, you can have like yoga blocks or other small implements like these foam rollers behind me, or even like a small stool, things like that, that you can use as a tactile surface to help lean into some positions or to lift up like a knee in some of the positions that we're going to do today, things like that. Okay, so I am not going to use any music. So if you want to play some like calm music in the background or raven music, whatever your thing, go for it. So just follow me and I'll talk about progressions, guys, as we go and enjoy. All right. Okay, so going to start standing at the back of your mat. I'm just going to pop my shoes here out the way. We're going to start in standing with our feet inside of the hips and the toes, just that knuckle of the toe, turn towards each other so the big toes are just touching. From here, I want you to just take a really deep breath in, let your lower diaphragm fill out, and then push it back out. I'm going to reach the arms up and do the same thing. Breathe in, lower the arms, breathe out. Reach up, look up, fill the belly, lower the arms, breathe out. Breathe in, reach up, breathe out. Okay, this time we're going to breathe in, and when we breathe out, we're going to fold forwards and try and touch as low down the leg as we can. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out and folding forward, letting your spine bend, and reaching low as we can. We're just going to hold this position. If you have a bend in the back of the leg, that is fine. If you can straighten the back of the leg and touch the floor, fantastic. If you're up here and you're feeling that tension too much, or with straight legs, you can hold the shins. And then from here, take a deep breath in. You're going to look up and lift the chest. And breathe out and fold back to that position, your maximum fold position. Okay, we're just going to practice that a couple of times. So you're going to breathe in, lift the chest, eyes forward. Breathe out, lower, pull your hips up to the sky. Breathe in, lift the chest. Breathe out, lower. If you can touch the floor, when you breathe out and lower, you're going to push through your fingers. Breathe in, lift the chest. If this is you, up onto the knee, eyes forward. Breathe out. Let the spine soften. Breathe in, look up, chest up. Breathe out, spine soften. We're going to walk out now, guys. We're going to walk out through the hands into a high plank position. If you can hold this for a few seconds, great. If you need to come onto the knees, you can do. Okay, you're going to lock your shoulder blades down Keep your shoulders over your wrists. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, you're going to lower down right until the chest is on the floor. I'm going to show you that again. And you stay on the floor or come back through it again. Breathing in. You can come onto the knees, elbows down by the side, and lower. If you need to sort of collapse and relax into the floor, fine. Then you're going to let the toes point behind you. Breathe in. Drop the hips to the floor and eyes up if you can. Tuck the toes underneath behind, and if you need to come through the knees, fine. You're going to lift the hips, weight through your toes, and then push the weight through the heels, pushing through the hands to lift the hips up to the sky. So far you can see, we're just going to stay in this position, take a few deep breaths as I talk, that we're moving quite dynamically through these positions. This is a good way of adding some resistance to stretches, but also rather than having passive stretches, we're making them nice and active. In this position, guys, you're going to push through the fingers in the floor and push up through the shoulders. And I'm going to walk one heel down and then walk the other heel down. Feel a very strong stretch in the back, maybe the Achilles, the back of the ankle, down the back of the calf, and slowly keep walking. Bring those feet in or out wherever that's more comfortable. I've just brought mine in a bit. Slowly walking and pushing the heel down, lifting the hip up to the sky on that side. Big, strong stretch through the hamstring, through the calf, all the back of the legs. Keeping pushing up through the shoulders. We might get a bit of a shoulder burn on now because we've been in this position for a while. Okay, pushing both feet down to this position again in down dog, and then we are going to come back to a high plank position. Breathe in, breathe out lower, breathe in, up dog. Squeeze your bum. Lift the ribs, push through the shoulders, tuck the toes, and we're going to come back into down dog. So there's a few positions here that we can look at how they're supposed to be feeling. Okay, you're going to rock forward here. I'm going to do the progression down. Breathe in, set your shoulder blades if you need to come onto the knee, and lower down like this. Absolutely fine. Breathe out, breathe in, up dog. And in this up dog position, we're just going to hold here for a second. So some people, this might be very aggressive on the lower back, in which case you're going to tense your lower core in your abdomen here. You're going to pull that in a bit so that your hips aren't quite so sunk to the floor, and you're going to squeeze your bum so that you get a stretch down the front of the hip more. Okay, let's lower down to the floor just to take that aggressive stretch away. We're going to explore this position a little bit. Okay, so thinking about pushing through the shoulders, we're going to breathe in and lift. Push through the arms. See, rather than sunk down here, I'm actually pushing my hands through the floor, and then I'm thinking about pulling that lower tummy in, squeezing my bum to create that tension there, to take some pressure off of the lower back. Breathing out and lowering. And we're going to just roll through this one more time, and then we'll go back to down dog from our up dog. So breathing in, pushing up. If you're someone who can let that flex happen in the spine, great. You're just going to breathe, lift the rib cage, keep pushing through the hands, and as you breathe out, tuck the toes into down dog, and push back into the heels. Readjust the feet if you need to. Okay, 5 deep breaths here. Keep pushing through the hands and the fingers. Keep pushing through the heels. One more. And we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet. Bend the legs if you need to. From here, we're going to do our reach. So if you need to bring the hands onto the shins or the knees, reach up, breathe in. Squeeze the upper back. Breathe out, lower. From here, bring the feet a little bit closer, back to that start position with the toes there. You can have a small bend in the knee. What we're going to do is roll up one vertebrae at a time, one bit of the spine here. So, sending the hips up to the sky, you're going to pull your lower tummy in below the belly button as you start to rise.
Really pulling this in here. Slowly, slowly, slowly curling up. You can let the arms hang. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And at the top, roll the shoulder blades back and let that spine sit neutral over the shoulders. Okay, we're going to perform that spine roll a couple more times, down and up. Okay, so we're going to send the shoulders forward, let the chin drop, roll, slowly, slowly pulling the lower abdomen in towards your spine. Pop a little bend in the knee if you need to. And we're going to come back up. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Pull your tummy in. You may hit some positions here that are a little bit uncomfy or a little bit tight. Roll the shoulder blades back a couple of times. And let's go one more time. Shoulders forward. One bit of your spine at a time. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Pop a bend in the knee if you need to. And slowly up. Keep it nice and controlled. Notice if one side of the body feels different to the other. Roll the shoulder blades back and relax. Okay, and if drill like that, stretch like that, you're going to notice if one side of the back or if a certain area of the lower or the upper back feels tighter than the rest. That's a really good reference point for you to have, so that when you come into other stretches that use the back, and when you're doing other training as well, that you build that muscle awareness around the spine, because this is what stabilizes us. It's what carries our central nervous system and gives us that daily energy and recovery balance. And if there's something wrong in your spine, there's probably going to be something wrong with your overall stress or recovery levels. Okay, so I'm going to move to the lower leg now, because we've done quite a lot of aggressive calf stretching through that down dog. I'm going to see if we can sit in a toe sit. For some of you guys, it's going to be very, very uncomfortable, but let's try it. If you have something that you can grab behind you, great. And if you need to pass in and out of this stretch, also fine. Tuck the toes under, as opposed to this, you're going to tuck them. Keeping the big toe mainly digging into the floor, you're going to try and just sit back onto your heels. Really feeling that aggressive stretch through the big toe. If you need to lean forward a bit and take some weight off of that bearing, just relax the spine and sit forward a second. Just going to hold here a few more seconds. Focus on the bits of the feet that you can or can't feel. Can you feel anything in the arch of your foot? Can you feel anything here stretching? I mean, I'm not getting much of that now at the moment. I've got more tightness around the toe area. Dig your other toes into the floor, just rocking side to side minimally over your toes to just see, is my big toe planted? And then we're going to rock forward, slowly unravel the toes, point them behind, and then see if we can sit back onto those heels at all. Some of you might get stuck here. Some of you might be able to come all the way down to here. And then wherever you are, using an assistance, a block or a chair next to you, you're going to try and sit back onto those heels. For some of you, you may still need to sit in a toe sit for this position, but if you're in this position here, we're going to try and lift the knees one at a time or both together and really open up the front of the ankle. If you are someone who struggles with dorsiflexion in the ankles, opening up the front of the ankle like this seems like it's not going to help, but honestly, it really, really, really will help. So you want to open up the front of the ankle as much as you want to open up the back of the Achilles and the tissue in the foot. Okay, let's go into the toe sit one more time for a few seconds. See if you've got any progress or any better tolerance here. See if you can take less load off of whatever you're holding on to, or less weight forward and bring that weight back. Okay, and relaxing forward. We're going to now take the knees out slightly. And if you can, still sitting on the heels. If you need to come a bit forward, fine, but we're going to drop back into a child's pose. So hips are back there, we're going to take the arms out in front as low as we can. And then from here, you're just going to think about driving the knees out slightly and rocking slightly from side to side, seeing if you can feel any tightness in one hip or one part of the groin more than the other, or if one ankle or one foot is slightly more painful than the other, you know that you're identifying a few imbalances there. Okay, and come out of this into this tabletop position here. It's important to keep moving through these positions. I'm very aware that everyone has different levels of mobility, and so staying in one position for someone is completely counterproductive if it hurts rather than a discomfort. If the discomfort is more than a 3 out of 5, you probably want to move out and back into that position rather than staying in it. Like I said about central nervous system, if you are going through pain rather than discomfort, you are taxing your central nervous system. So it's counterintuitive to do mobility and mindfulness and then it be painful. So you're trying to learn how to gauge that for yourself. Okay, we're going to come back one more time. This time you're going to think about tucking that lower abdomen up and in, so sucking it in and then pulling the rib cage down. Active core and then pushing that bent soft spine back and feeling if you've got any stretching down the lower back or the upper back at all. From here, we're rocking again from side to side. We're going to take one hand, walk it over to the other hand and lace the fingers. You're going to pop your head pointing down to the floor and then you're going to keep that hand planted and pull back towards the opposite hip. So my base hand is my left hand, I've walked over my right hand to meet it, and then I'm pulling back into my right hip. You should feel this all down here maybe. You might have tight pecs in the forearm, you might have tightness into the low back, but we're using that hand as a base, locking the other hand in, and then pulling. You can even turn out if that hits a different stretch for you, and walk the hands back to even. You're going to walk the other hand across, lock the fingers, plant the hand, and if you need to look under, you can, but you're just going to pull that weight, rock it over to the other side. Pull and feel that stretch off. Some discomfort maybe in the shoulder. You might still be struggling with the seated position here, in which case you can come slightly higher up off of the feet, walking the hands back, and then coming into this position here. Tabletop position, we're going to keep working down here and into the upper back and the muscles in the lat that come into the spine here. Okay, so from this tall position, we're going to take one hand, I'm going to take the other hand so I can show you better, and we're going to loop it through this gap here and twist. You're going to reach it as far as you can before you lay your shoulder down onto the floor. Okay, from here, you're going to look over that other shoulder. We have some main blood vessels in the neck, so you may get a bit dizzy at this point, so maybe take some tension out of that reach. And you're going to put your arm here onto the bicep or onto the forearm, however far you can reach, just to kind of lock it down. And looking over and reaching again to that opposite hip at the back. Few deep breaths here, keeping that tension through the arm. Just like an active release through that lat muscle at the back of the shoulder and down the side of the torso into the lower back as well. You might feel it around the ribs. And relaxing slowly, however you need to come out of this, back into your tabletop position. Going to repeat that on the other side. So take the other arm, reach it through as far as you can before you plant the shoulder down on the floor. And then if you can kind of lock that in or anchor it in with the other arm that you want to look over. Work out a good stretch where you can still breathe and you're not getting dizzy with that twist in the neck. And pull it over towards the opposite hip. Keeping that tension, locking the arm in. You can rock slightly forward and back to explore. A few deep breaths. And slowly relax, working out how to come out of that position. Okay, from here in this tabletop, another good thing we can do is ease off the wrists. So We're going to dig the fingers into the floor a little bit, and we're going to rock forward slightly over the wrists, keeping our core awareness, core, anything in here in this trunk section. We're going to pull the lower abdomen in, and then we're going to squeeze down a secondary brace of the midline, so we're not relaxed like this. Okay, we're just going to keep the core active as we do this wrist release, digging the fingers into the floor, rocking forwards about 10 times. But you should feel down from each finger, all those tendons that are attached through each finger are going to slightly set off in different ways. You might have a history of wrist injury, or little niggles that you get from repetitive things like carpal tunnel, repetitive desk sitting and things like that and writing. So you might feel it differently on one side. You're going to turn the fingers back towards you. And then we are just going to slowly pull back and forward again. Dig the fingers, slowly pull back. It's quite an aggressive stretch, so if you need to bring them back closer to you, that's absolutely fine, and you can bend the elbows slightly. Just going to do a couple more of these pullbacks here. And again, you can bend the arms if you need to. Core awareness, if you've relaxed like this, just going to bring that core awareness back. Okay, we're going to upgrade the one that we just did, where we did the child's pose, but we're going to go into a puppy dog pose and then do the stretch across like we did with the child's pose and that thoracic one, that kind of stretch across the body. So a lot of the focus today is through the back of the legs and the calf and the feet, but also coming from the back into the lower back here, which when you're doing a lot of sitting or you're doing a lot of training is going to be an area that just kind of locks in and gets really, really tight. Okay, so we're going to go into the puppy dog position, which is walking the hands out further. It's going to start to open up the front of the body. Breathing in, as you breathe out, you're going to lower as low as you possibly can. And then you're going to tuck your chin and push your hands into the floor, pushing the upper back to the sky, and relax, eyes forward. Couple of deep breaths. Breathing in, as you breathe out, tuck the chin, dig the hands into the floor, push the upper back up, and relax, eyes forward. Deep breath. Breathing in, breathe out, tuck, push through the upper back. Breathe out, eyes forward. We're going to do this one more time. Breathing in, breathe out, push, dig the hands and the things into the floor, relax and see if you can really push that chest down lower. Don't worry about core awareness on this one, this is more relaxing through that pelvis and that spine. And then we're going to take one hand over to one side. This is getting quite an aggressive stretch in the shoulders here, guys. I appreciate that. So if you need to come back to perform it with a higher position, you can do so. So we're coming with one hand across. Again, you can lace the fingers if you need to. And here we're just going to rock over through that opposite hip, but actually kind of rolling onto this shoulder. So it's super stretched, and we're just slowly going to roll through that motion. So it's sort of forcing the insertion points of where these muscles originate and tie into. It's sort of forcing them to stretch and shorten more than they would if we were doing a still stretch. Okay, relaxing. If you need to sit up and ease off the arms, guys, honestly, you take this at your pace. We're going to go back in and we're going to do the other side. So letting the chest drop, reaching over. You can lace the fingers if you want. And then again, rocking over into that back hip. But this one, we can kind of rock over onto that front shoulder. You might get a number of different sensations here. So you might be someone who's got a super stiff spine. You might feel this in the lower back. You may feel this mainly down the side of the lats and the shoulder at the back. You may get a pinch at the front of the shoulder, by where the shoulder joins from the sort of delt cap in the shoulder and where the muscles at the front of the pec like tie in by the shoulder.
You might have a pinch right in there at the front as well. There's really no right or wrong, but anywhere that you do identify a sensation is going to be somewhere that possibly has a limitation for you. Walking those hands back out evenly, and we are going to go through the puppy dog series one more time. My neck is a little bit tight, if yours is. Let's roll it around a couple of times. Okay, and we're walking those hands out again, just seeing if we can move a bit further than we did last time in terms of either the hands out further, or we can get more weight through the shoulder. I'm going to look forward from here, breathing in, breathe out, tuck the chin, push those hands and fingers into the floor, and eyes forward, breathing in, breathing out, breathe in, breathe out, and tuck, push, and relax one more time. Nice deep breath in and breathe out. Tuck, push the hands in. I'm just a little click through the chest. Breathe out and coming forward onto the hands. Walk the hands in to this tall kneeling position. And then we're going to rock back onto the heels and take a few deep breaths. Okay, because we've been working the ankle and mainly the back into the shoulder now, we're just going to hit one more bit around the hips, but there's also going to hit the ankle for you as well. So we're going to do a forward lunge, but we're going to create an ankle opener by leaning our body weight over the front ankle there. So we're going to start by taking one leg up nice and high on the mat. From here, you're going to focus on digging the toes in that front leg, and you're going to drop forwards to see if you can touch the floor. If you can't, you may need a stool or a block at this point to hold on to. There's a strong stretch down the back of that front leg, the big long muscle at the front of the quad and into the hip flexor here. But if you can, we're going to come down onto the floor here. Just going to ease into this position for a bit because I'm aware this is quite a strong stretch. Again, especially if it's lockdown related, desk job related, driving related, sitting on the sofa a lot related, the front of the hip is going to be super tight. Now to make this stretch harder or more effective, another word for it, you can squeeze that back bum cheek. Squeeze it as if you're trying to, get into your favorite pair of jeans, or squeeze it as if you're driving your hips into the barbell. You're going to squeeze it, and then you're just going to feel that stretch much more aggressively down the front of this hip here. Okay, now we're going to see if, whether assisted or not, we can put our body weight over the front leg. You may need to adjust that back knee forward, and we're going to stretch over that front ankle. And we're going to pulse, digging the toes into the floor. Pulse over the knee with your body weight. You do not need equipment, but if you have something nearby, a kettlebell, a small child, you can sit them on your knee and use that weight to rock forward. I am fortunate for this. I've got quite a lot of upper body mass, so I'm using my weight to really put over my foot. Okay, and we're going to come back up to a tall kneel position. Just going to squeeze this back bum cheek on in this tall kneel for 5 seconds. Really feel that stretch down the front here. And relax. And then we're just going to reach up and do the same thing. Squeeze the back bum cheek, drive the hip forward, drive the knee into the floor. And relax. Okay, coming back off that leg. Sit back if you need to, relax for a second. And then we're going to perform that on the other side, okay? So back up to tall kneeling. We're going to take a big long lunge stretch here. Okay, and slowly, again, if you've got something you can hold on to, or you can guide yourself down to the floor, you might need to bring that back knee forward a little bit higher up the mat. You're going to try and touch the floor if you can. If you're struggling to keep your heel on the floor here, you want to come back slightly more, just so you can center yourself where you can have a flat foot. Focus on digging the toes in on this foot. And then, like we did on the last one, you're going to squeeze that back bum cheek. Feel that stretch on the inside of the front of the groin, down that long muscle on the back of the quad and the hip flexor. And relax. very aggressive stretch down the front. I really should stop using the word aggressive for stretching, but it's just a really accurate word for how a stretch can go from being passive to active, and you notice these physical sensations change. Okay, we're going to see if we can come with our body weight or assisted as before over the leg here. Okay, so you may need to readjust that back knee. May needs to come forward. I'm lucky with some good ankle flexion. I have too much in the wrong plane, so my knee drops in sometimes because it's super open, which isn't good. So you can have win-win. Whether you are less mobile or more mobile, you've got benefits to that either way and limitations to that either way as well. Keeping your body weight over that front leg if you can. If you need to squeeze the back glute to add an extra stretch on the other leg, go for it. If you've got a dumbbell or a weight, popping that over this leg again. Being mindful of your breathing all the time. Digging the toes into the floor on that base leg. Digging the toes in might do the same thing as when we're squeezing that back glute on that front of the hip. Squeezing the toes into the floor might actually open up the back of the Achilles more for you. Everyone is different. Okay, and then we're coming back to that tall stretch, remember, that we did on the other side. You're just going to start by dragging that back hip forward by squeezing the glute, squeezing the bum cheek. 4, 5, and then in a second, relax. And then we're going to reach up overhead and we're going to squeeze it again. So tucking the hip under, squeezing the hip forward, squeeze the glute, and relax. Okay, bringing the legs back together. For time here, guys, we are nearly done with our whole body flow. And we're going to go into some lying visualization and mindset stuff. So this can be done in a lying position on your front or on your back. What we're going to do is pass through another couple of those sort of sun salutation positions, coming through the down dog, up dog, and then you can choose whether you want to lie on your front or on your back. Okay, so from here, walking the hands out, breathing in, you're going to tuck your toes, breathe out, come back up to down dog. Okay, breathe in, breathing out, come forward. Breathe in, set in high plank. Breathe out, down. Breathe in, up dog. Breathe out, down dog. Really focusing on breathing here. Breathe in. Breathe out to plank. Breathe in, set. Breathe out, lower. Breathe in, up. Breathe out, tuck and down dog. And walking the hands back in here and rolling up through the spine. Okay guys, so taking a lying position, you can walk to the front of your mat and lower down. Have a little sip of your coffee or your drink, whatever you've got with you, just before we go into this last section of this class. Hopefully you feel a little bit of a balance between physical exertion and some of those harder stretches for you. Like I said before, noting which of those stretches was hardest for you, or if you had one side that felt really different to the other, just keep practicing that particular set of drills, and that is going to really help you with marked progress and reference points for how your mobility improves. And if you're a gym goer and you are doing mobility to supplement your routine, you will notice it come into other movements. And if you are not a gym goer, but you are noticing in your everyday movements as well, things like walking up and down stairs or up and down ladders, how to load your legs and the sensations you get around your hips, getting on and off of the toilet, picking up, your child or your dog. Do you slouch onto one hip? Do you use one shoulder and one bicep to carry something? Becoming aware of all these postural things and using mobility to switch on your muscle awareness is going to really, really help in terms of your lifespan of good movement and mobility for everyday function. Okay, so lying down on your back, guys.
I'm going to lie down with you and then I shall instruct. Set those feet wherever they are comfy. They might want to roll out, let them do so. You're going to take some deep breaths in for 4, 1, 3, 4. You're going to hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. I'm going to do this a few more times. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. I want you guys to carry on now. Breathe in your own time counting, and I'm going to talk while you do this for a few more breaths. Become aware of your body. Do a scan from the top of your head. What can you feel at the top of your head? Can you feel the tension in your head against the floor? Does your head feel heavy against the floor? Keeping your breathing in that same rhythm, guys. You're counting while I'm talking. Scan down your face. Have you got tension in your forehead or in your brow? Have you got tension in your jaw? Relax the jaw, move it around if you need to. Have you got tension in your neck? Scanning down through the shoulders from the neck. Are you tight in the traps? You need to readjust and relax. Spreading down the arms next, all the way down past the biceps, past the elbows, feeling that metaphorical stretch and release of all that energy through your arms. Focus back in on your breathing. Listen to my voice, but remember, breathing in for 4, holding, breathing out for 4, holding. Scan down from the chest. Do you need to let tension go there? Does the body feel heavy against the floor? Do you feel light or like you're floating? Do your organs feel like they're sitting tight and stressed today? Scroll down through your body still, focusing in on that breathing every time you forget. Around the hips, does one hip feel like it's sat in the floor heavier? Does one hip feel it's rolled out? Do you feel tension around the hips? Through the legs, scan down. Scan down through those muscles at the top of the legs, all the way down to the knee, all the way down through the calf. Can you stretch and can you let that energy flow out, down? If you've got any tension, can you relax into your body, relax into the floor, all the way past the heel, through the arch of the foot, down to the toe. If you wiggle and relax your toe again. Check in with your breathing. Let's take out the pauses now, if you haven't already. Just breathing in, steady. Breathing out, steady. Now we're going to move into a little bit of visualization. Done a mind body scan. We're now going to think about an activity that is something that requires some physical exertion and requires some mental focus. Still focusing on the breathing here, guys. So this might be your newest physical project. Are you trying to chop wood for a wood fire? Are you trying to paint? Are you trying to lift a barbell? Are you trying to work out how to set your body to lift a dumbbell at the gym? Are you trying to get in and out of the car? Are you trying to do a gymnastic movement? Are you trying to hold a handstand? Okay, I want you now to pick one movement or one movement goal, and we're going to focus in on that movement. I want you to envision yourself in a room, in a setting. Maybe it's in the room you're in now, maybe it's in a gym, or maybe it's where you perform this task. Check in with your breathing again. Okay, now you've set yourself up in this room.
we're going to run through visualizing, performing the task that you want to do a number of times. So in this visualization, we're going to get present in the room. What's around you? What can you see? What can you hear? What's normally going on around you when you're doing this? Is it music? Is it the sound of chatter? Is it the sound of keyboards tapping away? Is it the sound of people on the phone? Is it the sound of barbells clanging? And now you're going to think about the physical sensations of what you're going to feel when you perform this task. Am I ready to switch on bits of my body that are going to perform this task for me? Check in with your breathing again right now, guys. Focus on your breathing. I want you to visualize yourself setting up and performing this task in 3, 2, 1. When you perform the task, you're going to step back. We're going to check into the room we're in right now. We're doing these breathing exercises. Breathing in, breathing out in a physical state of relaxedness. The parts of the brain that we're using right now to actually visualize doing these tasks are some of the same parts of the brain it actually requires to do these physical tasks. So whatever the world is throwing at us right now, if we are giving ourselves the best chance at practice, and perfect practice, and mindful practice, when we come back to performing those physical tasks, you will surprise yourself. Okay, we're going to go through this motion one more time. Check in with your breathing, in your visualization, in your imagery. If you couldn't quite get it the first time, that's okay. You're just going to try and piece together this sequence of sort of imagery in your head where you're performing this task. Okay, breathing in. You're going to approach this task in 3, 2, 1. And hopefully that was a little bit more successful than the first time. If you're someone who's struggling with this, don't worry. A lot of the benefit of what we're doing is just in the mindful breathing of what we're doing right now. Check in with the breathing. Even if you're struggling to visualize the task. Okay, we're going to do it 3 more times. Ready to attack that task again? You're going to breathe in, get present in the room. What can you see? What can you feel? Perform the task in 3, 2, 1. And hopefully you've done that task again. Okay, we're going to practice it 2 more times. It might feel like even in your visualization, this is a skill that maybe you haven't performed yet. Or maybe it's a skill that you don't know that you can rely on. So in your visualization, it feels uncertain. That is absolutely fine. This is the point of this mindful practice. Okay, breathing in, getting present in your visualization, performing that task. You can do it in 3, 2, 1. Center in on your breathing. Now we're going to go for it one more time. Breathing in, approaching that task in 3, 2, 1. And that is your mindful practice done for today, guys. We're going to bring the sensation back to the body, so wiggle your toes. Feel that energy, moving the legs, maybe rocking the legs and the toes and the ankles side to side. Bring the sensation back through the legs. Touching the lower back into the floor, reactivating the core. Wiggle your fingers, roll your shoulders, waking that body back up. And if you're ready to, if you still haven't got your eyes open, slowly open your eyes. Okay, if you are seated, you're just going to keep moving. Wiggle around. If you're lying down, you're just going to roll yourself up and sit up. Let that light come back into the eyes. Roll the neck from side to side in the seated position.
And let's bring the feet in, soles of the feet together, and see if you can just slouch and now relax into this seated position. Okay, taking a deep breath in. Scoop for a prayer, stretch through the fingers, through the wrists, lower down, and then let that energy just flow out through the arms. Okay, if you fell asleep during that, that is okay. If you didn't quite get a grasp of that or the visualization, if you felt uncomfortable, if you're uncomfortable with being so quiet in your body, maybe this is something you can keep working on. In this scenario, with a coach guiding you, having that external stimulus of sound, as well as then the physical mindful practice that you're doing, is really going to help you in a wider sense, not just talking about like performance, visualization for performance, but having that ability to access or visualize different parts of your life in your brain as you would like them to be, not overthinking how they were or how they are. And when that, if you suffer with anxiety, when anxiety kicks in and you are questioning everything that you're thinking, or you're questioning every decision you're making, getting present, breathing exercises, and then having that control and that discipline to lie down and practice that mindfully is really underrated, and it's going to help you so much in your mindset as well as physically in your practice, whatever your sport is or whatever your daily activity. Okay, so I'm going to slightly run over, I think, there for time, guys, but I hope you enjoyed that. And if you were watching, I hope you enjoyed just watching me looking silly, as you probably think you are as well. We're all in it together, and I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Let me know. All right, see you soon.